Inshallah, everyone will recite Durood Sharif, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi allazina astaghfa, khususan ala sayyidi rusuli wa khataman anbiya wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallim ala rasulihi al-kareem. Amma ba'd, fa'awzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Habiballah. As-salamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Amma ba'd. All praise belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal, and we begin by their blessed name, that they have given us time and they have given us all the blessings that we could never really repay. They've given us time to change our lives. They've given us respite. They've shown us the best ways through none other than the blessed messenger Sayyidina Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All salutations and salam and durood upon them, to all the companions, the blessed family, and to all the pious and righteous who have been following them and who are still following them, who have passed and present, and especially to all our mashayikh, Sayyid Abdur Jalani Rahmullah, Sayyid Abdul Aziz Dabbar Rahmullah, and our blessed teacher, Sayyidina Ahmad Dabbar, who have really shown us the way towards the footsteps of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yes. And really, one can never thank or repay such a debt to any of these blessed personalities. So everything in this life, every blessing comes with a cost. Every blessing comes with a cost. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that you could never repay, just the meaning of it, all the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. Even if you could never repay them, the blessings. And what do we have blessing-wise? Just look at your own self, that we breathe without even thinking. Our eyes blink without us thinking. When we are asleep, this whole function of breathing, the heart beating, does not require our own attention. But this shows that someone else has control as such, that He's given a lifeline to every single one of us. These days of Ramadan has almost come to an end. And this could be our last and final Ramadan. So we should take back a few things from this session that will summarize what we need to do when we return to our daily lives. So you have been partaking almost 10 days now on Itikhaf, and some of you less, in order to really bring our lives in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the whole point of this retreat was the unveiling of the unseen, to come from the point of only knowledge, ilm, to ainul yaqeen, to actually see for yourself. And even some of you have come to haqqul yaqeen as well. So there are some blessings. So Allah Azza wa Jalla has lifted a veil, and there is a blessing that we need to do or return such favors. So we will go through some points that one needs to really do when he returns. So if you look at the screen, can everyone see? So really, the teacher is one of the key aspects in this retreat, and in our lives it should be. Because the Prophet ﷺ was a teacher for all of beings, all of mankind and jinn, and even everyone. So the teacher in our life, the guide in our life is important. We must have a guide. Without a guide, a person is lost. So the teacher has never asked you, give me money because you've partaked in this course and I've spent hours and hours of my time and effort. Many times the teacher is here, but really he could be in different countries, because many people have requested itikhafs in different countries. But we are very lucky to be in their presence. People have come all the way from Canada, America, Morocco, Denmark, all over the country. Why? Why did they not find this in any other of their own country? But you and me are living in this country, living in this locality, and if we can't take benefit from such a guide, then really we have lost the actual aim of it. So really, some people try to go direct to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of us try to go direct to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in order to reach him through vision or such. Even yesterday, people were mentioning that they were trying to think of the Prophet ﷺ more and more, but it won't come. Really, the teacher is like, you could say the teachers, the mashayikh, they have like a code. Like a 4-digit code. If you know the 4 digits to enter this door, which leads you to the Prophet ﷺ, then you have entered. But if you don't have this code, you can press the button thousands of times, different combination, you'll never get the code. You'll never be able to enter. So mashayikhs and teachers are like this. They're like code. They have been given code and access by the Prophet ﷺ, by Allah Azza wa Jal. And all we need to do is find this person who can access this door and open this door for us. So the guide is very important in order to reach the Prophet ﷺ. So find the guide who takes you to the Prophet ﷺ. And who is this guide? The guide is the teacher and the sheikh. They are the guide. So many people, like is mentioned from our blessed teacher, that many people are looking for Imam Mahdi. When he comes, I will follow. People are looking for guide all over. When is Imam Mahdi going to come into my life? He may never come into our lives. We should find the Mahdi of our own time. We should find Mahdi means a guide. It means a guide. So we should find that guide, and then you'll become successful. So like here is an example of inside the plane, the cockpit of a plane. If you were to control a plane without you having any lesson, would you be able to control? Without a guide showing you how to drive a plane, without how to drive a plane, and you don't know how to drive a plane, then what will happen? a person will crash his plane. Not only will he kill himself, but he'll kill others that he's given advice to if he does not have a correct guide. This is how important a guide is. Look at Shaitan, his story. He didn't want a guide. When it was offered to actually have a guide, which was Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he refused to have any guide. He didn't want to be really following anyone but himself. And the destruction came for him. So the important thing here I want you to know is that you've found a teacher now. Like is mentioned, that when you transfer in the spiritual body, you find your shaykh. And if you don't know who your teacher is, then this is an idea. This is Shaykh Ahmad Dabba. You should be like, there's a picture of them. Many people here, they said that we can't imagine the picture, or we cannot picture the teacher. All you have to do, it's a very simple thing, just look at one of their blessed pictures. There's a picture here that they sit down every day, twice a day here, doing masnoon askars, similar to this. That's all you have to picture. Just look at the photograph. Someone looks at this photograph and closes their eyes, very easy to imagine. It's very easy to imagine. So this should be in your mind. It's not hard to picture something. Everyone can picture a banana. But someone who then pictures it peeling, there you can see their level of mind is at a higher level. And someone who then pictures a banana being peeled by a monkey, you can see their imagination will become, you can say, a spiritual nature. So everyone is at different levels. One level person can maybe just picture the image of a banana, for example. Someone will be then picturing it as though it's being peeled. Next level is that they see the being who's peeling this, which is the monkey, for example. So there are different levels of the mind as well, and different levels of thought, of imagination. So everyone is at different levels. Just because you cannot see, if it's spiritually or not, and this is not the decision that any of you should be making. Have I traveled? Have I transferred? Is it imagination? Is it not? This is for the teacher. The teacher, as you've seen before in the first ever slide, teacher has many responsibilities for the seeker that he undertakes. Imagine you have such a guide that he has undertaken all the responsibilities. And all you have to do is just to say what you see and do what is being said. That's all you need to do. Just follow the way. So this is Shaykh Ahmad Dabba. This should be our teacher now. So everyone should be clear that really in any field, everyone needs a guide. Like I mentioned the other day, if you want to go to very dangerous places in the world, only certain people can take you there. Certain guides can take you there. Very harsh terrain, very deserts, forest with animals and creatures that may kill you, you always need a guide if you've never been. Even if you have been, you haven't got the experience to. So in this world, there's guides that take the people to these harsh terrains and teach them survival techniques. So every, like we mentioned, very famous adventurers, they take people, even famous people he takes. He takes famous people in these harsh terrain and he trains them. Imagine if that famous person dies or gets killed. Can you imagine the insurance bill on that person who took him? How much insurance he has paid, how much trust this famous person has. that someone's going to be taking me to this place. I'm all under his supervision. Any animals that come, he has to tell me how I should behave. If I even look at the animal in a different light, the animal might kill me or eat me. If I don't move fast enough, then animal might catch me. Snakes, if I tread on something which is a stick, and I tread on this, but it's really a snake. Imagine the danger that will happen. Or imagine the poison, the bite of this snake. But the guide is the one who tells you to recognize these dangers in his adventure, in his tour. But what to say about the spiritual world, which is something that hardly anyone can say that they've been as such. So this guide is the guide towards the spiritual world and this dunya, how to live this life until you return to Allah Azza wa Jal and to the hands and the ways of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you should clearly know now who your guide is. So this was number one, is to really know your teacher, to really find a guide. So everyone has been shown sometimes, and surely those who have an experience, they've seen who their guide in the spiritual world as well. Shaykh Ahmed, because that's who you follow in the spiritual world and find, which is the teacher, Shaykh Ahmed Dabbar. Then from there it's easier to follow them wherever they take you in the spiritual world, and you're under their guidance and safety. So second point that you should take away from you is do the 5 amals. This has been told you day after day after day. 5 amal is another key you should be taking. All of these things are keys. If you imagine that one door requires 8 keys, you may even have all 7, but if you don't have the 8th key, you'll never enter that door. It will still be locked. So this is why every single thing that I'm telling you, they are keys for you to take back. If you want to continue to experience these blessings afterwards, you leave these blessings really is because we are in the presence of the Shaykh, physically as well. Some people said when they return, the presence become very weak. And it is true. This is why the closeness of this teacher is so important, especially the spiritual contact. So 5 things you should do after you leave, and these are the 5 amals. If you fail to keep these 5 things, then you really return back to your old ways. You start off doing your amals, then the sins creep in. You don't observe the 5 amals that has been prescribed, like you see on the screen. What are these 5 amals? The 5 amals, you could say, are the zikr, the meditation, the sheets that has been mentioned, the sincerity sheet, the tongue sheet, the prayer sheet. These are the 5 amals that you should take back with you. Number 1, which is the meditation. Number 2 is the dhikr, the sincerity sheet, the tongue sheet, and the prayer sheet. So every single one of us should know, when we say 5 amal, these are the things that should come into your mind.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As our Ustaad Abdur Raheem have said, that these 5 elements of the amals are the key. The reason being that now we've learned spiritually, we have an opening, an unveiling to meet with Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the pious, and the ascent to reach closeness to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to increase our faith. But the thing that's the foundation that actually keeps this momentum going is these 5 amals mentioned. So it cannot be emphasized enough how important it is that as you have begun and as practices, especially those 5 amals, then you continue to do so when you go back to your localities, back to your countries, back to your homes. You know, even if you have to make a plan, timetable, whereby you're practicing these amals on a daily basis. So as is mentioned, for example, there, that the zikr of La ilaha illallah, you do for a period of, for example, 5 minutes. Then the muraqabah dua, the listed, if you don't remember now, that what things do you do, how to start, what are the points you should consider, like, you know, with the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You also present your 7 sins, 7 blessings that you have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 7 needs that you have in your life, 7 difficulties, and then 7 decisions you make in your life, the major ones. And then present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rely on Him and turn to Him, for example, as is summarized there. So this is also key part. You could do it 5, you can take up to 10 minutes if you like. The diagram here shows how important it is to purify our body, because we are trying to follow the path of Sunnah. Like we had many inspirations and guidances from the brothers like yourselves, not from our teacher or anyone, but from yourselves, that, you know, we love to meet them, but then we have this sense of shame as well, that we have not followed them, we have not become a good follower and ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So which are good feelings and good things to express, but then now when we go back home, we have a way, a methodology, a path of sunnah we can adopt daily, day by day, step by step, to emulate the being that we like to meet, being we like to make happy, but for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So purifying the organs is important. Why is it important to, you know, match your tongue similar to the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And that is sunnah, following of the sunnah. And we know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have never used his tongue in any negative way. Rather, he used it always in a positive way. The greatest way he has done so is that he taught, the Quran was revealed, he conveyed it, and carried on conveying the message of Deen. That's the highest honor you could do with your tongue, for example. So then, with sincerity sheet, our Ustad have mentioned, and then to prayer. Now, prayer is, mashallah, in the masjid here, we're all here praying 5 times salah with jama'ah, and the environment is such that it is actually very hard to miss a salah. It is very hard to miss a salah in the masjid in this environment. But when you go back out there in the real world, when all the shayateen are released on day of Eid, and you go back to your lives, and you get normalized into the world and the dunya, that's where the real test starts, whereby, you know, you have to maintain your salah, but also at least then your aim is, when possible, okay, provided that sometimes it's not possible, you're not around the masjid or so on, work, but provided you have free time, that your aim is at every prayer that I want to offer it in masjid. That is one of the greatest sunnah in terms of ibadah and salah. So then, if we, knowingly, with the control and time we have, if we neglect that one aspect of not offering our salah in jama'ah, in the masjid on time, then all this, wish and tamanna we have will go to waste. Because now the time has come to translate this love, this attraction into action. And this translation into action does not mean that you have to drop everything. No, step by step. This is designed in such a way that step by step you can adopt the way of sunnah. So that is what I'd like to mention, inshallah.
So really, this is a payback time, really. All those who have seen the blessed personalities, or even experienced such, whatever level you have experienced, thought level, imagination level, really, you don't really need to understand that aspect as such. But whatever you think you've seen, these are all blessings from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Those who have seen the blessed vision of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, really, you can never repay Allah Azza wa Jal or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam back. Even if you had all the millions of pounds of this world, you can never pay back this. But really, this way that you can pay back to one level of what the servant can is by doing these amals. Truly submitting to these amals and really following the instructions of the teacher. That is true submission of the teacher and the amals. That you truly follow the guide. Many of us here, maybe with many years, or many weeks, many months, we have not seen the teacher. And maybe only in Ramadan we come. When are we going to really take them seriously? When are we going to really pay back the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal that we have given, have taken? So really these are the foundation of really building that pleasure that we can return to Allah Azza wa Jal. So the sincerity sheet, really, this is very important. The sincerity sheet. That will make you sincere. This will make you really come close to loyalty, really. That every action you do, major actions in your life, be it eating, be it going to work, that you do it for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Say, oh Allah, I'm doing it for your pleasure. To attain your pleasure, attain Jannah in the hereafter. I'm only doing it for you, Allah. Do it before you go to work. Repeat this in your mind. Do it during the middle. Refresh this intention. And then do it at the end. Then that 8 hours will become the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. People forget everything is worship if we make it. If we intend to do it for Allah Azza wa Jal. Even people go into the bathroom, you should intend why you're doing this. Cleaning your body, knowing the dua and then coming out. Why you have, imagine that comfort of releasing whatever waste is in the body, how much comfort Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives that person. But we don't really think of it. So everything is a blessing from Allah, but we never think or appreciate these. So now with the sincerity sheet, really think all the blessings that Allah Azza wa Jal has given us, especially the major things in our life that Allah we do, eating, drinking, praying, going to work, studying, learning knowledge, helping someone. So all of these things, inshallah. So it's been mentioned. So we should fully know what we are doing when we return. There should be an action plan. You should put a timetable into your life. You should have a timetable of what you do when you go home. What time you're going to be doing your zikr. Have a fixed time. Don't rely, oh, it depends what time I am free. Shaitan is free all the time. Shaitan is free all the time. He'll lead the person not to do it. So you should have a timetable, a plan when you go. So the next, third aspect that you should be thinking and taking back is really, now you've learned this, now it's your chance really, and your duty is to share this knowledge. Your duty is to share this knowledge you have learned. So this is like the dawah training, or everything that you've learned, this is actually training. Ustaad Ghulam Ali mentioned at the very beginning the journey of your whole life. This is like a training that when you can use when you return to this life, when you return after Ramadan, what you should be doing. So like using the journey of man, you should fully understand the journey of man. You should fully understand the mountain diagram, what that means. So when you look at this, you fully know in your mind what you should be, how you should lead the person into, you can say, into the blessed footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have seen, you have tasted, now you should have others to taste. So really, without the dawah, the blessing or the fairs will disappear. What does this mean, blessing or fairs? Fairs is something which, like, when you are in the presence of doing zikr, or this is like extra, or unextra, you can say, spiritual help from the Mashayikh. This is like spiritual support from the Mashayikh. So at this moment of time, everyone, because of the spiritual help of the teacher, everyone is really 90% of the people have seen whatever level. Really, I say 100% to one extent. Because many have, even the thought process has come into your mind. Just say 90 then if you want. But everyone, because of the fairs, because of the blessing, because of the help of the teacher, spiritual help, you are able to actually witness or taste some of the spiritual fruits or spiritual opening to motivate you. So this is there for you. Everyone is given this. Now it is up to you to keep it or not. That's the question. It's like basically everyone is being sent a gift. Everyone is being sent a gift. For example, the teacher sends these, you can say, the spiritual help to every single one of you into your hearts. Now you return to your daily lives and you become lazy. You become lazy again. You leave all the amals that the teacher has mentioned, the 5 amals you leave. Then what will happen? This spiritual help will return. It will return. And then it will be given to someone else who deserves. This is how it is. So the support is there. Every single one of you is there. It's how much you want it. If you think you can do it on your own, then really this is the wrong concept. Like we said, a guide will take you through every single step in the spiritual world. A person should always have his mind the teacher. So you should really understand the concept of the journey of man. And every one of us has seen this life story that we are going through. This story has already begun. And this was in the spiritual world. So really, if you want to bring others to this deen, to this way, you too should know how to do this. This image that you see, this should be inside your mind, really. You should know your full journey and explain to people. Because many people here in this world, really they are lost. They've never really thought about the spiritual world, nor do they remember it. It is your duty to remind them. So just quickly we'll go through this, and really this is your session that I want you to tell me. For example, if you were doing dawah to me and I don't know anything about Islam, what will you say to me? This is like the question. What will you say to me? What would be the first thing you tell me? Really, I'm lost. Really, I don't know where I'm going, who I am really. What will you say to me? Brother Tanim, what would you say to someone who doesn't really know what to do in his life? What would you explain to him to get his attention or really bring him towards success? And can someone give the mic as well to Brother Tanim as well? This is your training, you see. This is how it begins. This is really sharing the message. It's your opportunity to share. Imagine something that you love. Don't you want others to benefit from this? This is really, when you are given the message, is really sharing this message. Many people cry. Tears are coming from their eyes. Why do the Prophet ﷺ cry so much? Because every teardrop is for everyone. Every teardrop is for you. Every teardrop that falls is for Abdullah, is for Bashir, is for all the ummah. If it was for only himself, then only one teardrop would have been. But really one teardrop cannot really pay the blessing or appreciate what they really love us, how much they love us. So it's really about sharing. Have this in your mind, sharing. So how would you share what you have, Brother Tanim?
If somebody was in confusion as to where they're going, I think the first step is to say to them that before you find your direction, first we need to wind back a little bit and to understand where you've come from, who we've come from, and why we've come to where we are, and take them all the way back to perhaps firstly discussing the fact that we have been created by a supreme being, and that supreme being had a purpose in mind for us, and then walk the person through the different stages of the journey of man.
Okay, so can someone else give me where have we come from? So tell me now, mashallah, this is the key questions that you should ask yourself. This is what comes in my mind. He's asked me, where have you come from? I'm come from Bangladesh. North London as well, I live now. So people only go back to where they are now. They don't never think really out of this world. You have to take them out of this world where they are to where they really come from. Then they have a sense of purpose of life. Then they have a sense. So continue, inshallah. So where have I come from?
So if we establish that we have been created by a supreme being, then we can start by explaining that the first thing that was created was indeed our spirit, the spirit of all creation, and that was in the realm, in the world of spirits. And in that particular time, and actually before that, before that was created, there was nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe the question may arise, why did he suddenly want to create creation? And that was very nicely explained to us by Ustaad Ali, that Allah wanted to be known and wanted to be loved. And hence he created creation all in one go in this realm of spirits. And in this realm we were given our specific creation was given a particular gift, you may say.
Okay. So someone else now, what was the gift that we've been given and why we were given this gift? So brother over there now. So Jazakallah khair, inshallah. So this is a training that really sharing the love really of the Prophet and where we have come from, and to teach others this.
Assalamu alaikum. I believe we were given the gift of free will.
Right.
To choose from right and wrong.
MashaAllah. Yes, we were given the freedom of choice here. So every freedom, every choice, it comes with consequences. And we took a promise from this. And we were then taken to the world of spirits, where there was a gathering there. Can someone tell me the gatherings that took place there? What were the gatherings that took place there? For the Junaid Sarah, Junaid. The mic. So the mic's gone off. Gigi.
Yeah.
The Al-Marwa, the world of spirits.
Yeah. The first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked that, and I'm your Lord, and we say, Qawlu Bala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the free will, like the brother said. Then we come to the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send us to the world, and the world is the testing ground for us. And after that it goes to the barzakh, and after that
so really in the world of spirits we took covenant. Firstly, it was a gathering of all of us, in the world of spirits, all man and jinn in the world of spirit, we took a promise from Allah Azza wa Jal. Remember, we took a promise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a promise from us, Alastu bi Rabbikum, who is your Lord and Creator. And every single one of us said, Wallah, you are our Lord, our Creator, and will only worship you. Now the challenge or the test then began. Then the second gathering was a gathering of all the prophets and messengers in the world of spirits. They also took a promise that to help the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And thereafter Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also took a promise, and the last promise was that do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. That was the last thing really they said to us. Like we mentioned the other day, when a father loves someone, different example is that before they pass away, they might give you some advice. And the greatest advice is the last thing that they tell you in this life and they leave. So we've been given advice from our Creator. One of the last advice they gave us is do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. He is your open enemy. And thereafter, really we were sent in this world called earth. And there we will only be living for a period until death. Then obviously in this life people have challenges. In this life people have challenges through family, through spouse, through many problems and hardship. But these are tests. This is a key thing. People are going through problem. You should inform them. This is a test. These are the calls of Allah Azza wa Jal. Like azan is called 5 times a day. Come towards success. Why? Really every problem, every hardship is Allah Azza wa Jal calling each of us to come to success. Come towards Him. Come towards Him. So that's what you should know, really, the world. And obviously this life itself has many, really, you can say is divided into sleep. It's up to us how we use this life, but it's very short. Remember, this life is very short, so we should do something about it before we die. And we should help others to realize this deception which shaitan has. You should fully understand this pie chart and present it to people in the sense of speaking about their life. Telling them, look, how many hours do we really sleep for? How many hours do we sleep for? We only sleep, 22 years we sleep really, if it's divided. And you can mention, you've seen this diagram before. So then it comes into the world of barzakh. As you know, you've been training how you can see into the other world. That itself is something that everyone will have to die. Every one of us has to die and take this journey to the world of barzakh. So really this life really begins, of punishment and reward really begins in the grave. And this is how you have to build that thirst towards them. But ultimately bringing people towards Islam, this is like the practicing. This is the practical aspect, is really they'll only listen to you is only through character. You are the walking, talking book of Quran really. You represent this. You represent Islam, every one of us. As soon as we said La ilaha illallah, we represent Allah Azza wa Jal and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if people are not coming towards us for help or advice or becoming good, then really we have not done justice on the promise that we've taken from Allah Azza wa Jal. So these are some of the stages, as you see, everyone in the world. And if we do not share this, if we do not share all of these guidance, the day of judgment will one day come. Everyone in the day of judgment will be accountable for every blessing that we've taken. The tongue will speak, the eyes will speak, and will say to the tongue, "O tongue, why did you speak?" The skin will speak in the day of judgment. So this shows that these are blessings from Allah Azza wa Jal, and we should really appreciate these things. So then obviously the person will be in hellfire or in paradise after the Day of Judgment, really. And there's a bridge of Sirah. I want you to remember this bridge because it has relevance in this dunya as well. There's a bridge in the Day of Judgment that every single person has to really cross. If they do not cross, they pass this bridge or they fall into hellfire. And this is called the bridge of Sirah. So everyone will undertake this. So paradise is those who purified. So just running quickly now. So as you've seen, the heart is very important, and you should purify your hearts as you leave this retreat, step by step. Every purification you do, it has, you can say, a weightlifting aspect to it. This is the practical element of your one of the five amals that you do. So every sin a person does, darkness enters. So our aim is to not only illuminate the hearts of our body, but help others to do this as well. Help our neighbors to help them. Help the community. Help our families. Help the community. Help the country. Help the world. This is our way of sharing this love. So you see the tongue sheet has been mentioned already, that we should practically do something in relation to the tongue. That we monitor this. Every day we should start ticking. Even if there's a cross, do not worry. As soon as you do a cross and you begin again, it's as though you've picked yourself up. And that's what Allah Azza wa Jal wants. He wants to forgive. He wants the servant to come to Him. Like for example, if a friend told you that, I will be coming from Pakistan, for example, and he's making his way all the way from Pakistan, and the plane gets delayed. So he's coming from Pakistan to England. His plane gets delayed, and then they have to do an emergency landing in one of the countries. And he calls you, says, "Unfortunately, we had to do emergency landing. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but now I'm stuck." Then you'll understand if he doesn't want to come. Okay, that's fine if you can't. Because don't worry, I'm going to still come. There's no flights available because of the fog, because of whatever. But I'm going to take the journey of the car now. I'm going to come by road. You'd be saying, by road? Yes, by road. So then he calls you maybe a couple of days later, or again he calls you and goes, I've just had an accident on the road. I had an accident on the road, and you'd be like, okay, then you might as well go back. No, it's fine. On my journey, I want to see you. I love you so much. I want to meet you. I haven't seen you for a long time. So a person then carries on. And then he calls you, I have had an accident. Now my car's broken down, for example. Then he carries on, and then what happens? He never gives up. Now I have no car, but I'll walk it. Imagine that love. Now really, this is like the servant as well. Every time a person commits sin is as though he's had an accident. Soon as he does tawbah, is as though he's getting up and saying, "Oh Allah, I've done this now, but I'm still going to carry on. I'm still going to carry on and meet you." Imagine someone who does such effort, how much love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, imagine my servant, he's still making effort to come towards me, even all the obstacles he has. So this is how it is when you do tawbah again, is as though you have a crash, you've done this happened, that happened, but you still don't give up in reaching your goal, which is to be in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the purification of the body, the mind as well is very important. Thinking good of people. So when you return back, you should think good, how you can benefit, how you can share this message with others. Don't think, I'm going to keep it all in my mind. No, I'm not going to tell anyone. Really, you're going to be accountable for this. So you should share this message. Even with the thought level, you should have good opinion with your fellow Muslims and creation as well. Because they could change. At this very moment of time, we are here, but next year we may not be. Meaning that we are in the mosque, we are under, you can say, protection of the teacher, where they are helping us. Next year we might just go to our daily lives where we were before and leave this path and all the blessings are gone. So you should safeguard your mind of have good opinion about people and actually having that love for people as well. So this is like the purification of the mind. You should share this love and share this, thought of good, looking good at people as well, and not bring in evil in the mind. And this is a full course, you can say, procedure of bringing yourself towards the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's having the prophetic mindset. And the third stage, as you know, is the qualities and the characteristics. And the characteristics here is mentioned is like the seats of a plane. So these are like the sincerity sheets that we mentioned. If you make your body like sincere, then people will love to be in your company. If you have this, build the seat of humbleness, again, this is attraction. It's like the example of, if you look at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how is their life? That people really came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is through the interaction. They didn't even mention about Islam. But the famous example of the old lady who heard about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was leaving the city, and she had so much baggage, and no one was helping her. And a man came up to her and goes, "Do you need any help, oh dear mother?" And she goes, "Yes, please, if you can help me, I'm leaving this city." Because why are you leaving? And on their way, the conversation took place. And she goes, "I'm leaving because I heard there's a man, he's changing the religion of people. I just want to leave the city, because all the religions that we used to believe, he's taking this away through it's as though he's doing magic and taking everything from, I want to leave this locality." Meaning of this hadith or so. So she was leaving and the conversation was taking place. And at the end, what happened, she was very, you can say, they made a connection through this journey, through coming out of the city. And she said, out of all these people that were seeing me trying to carry these baggages, I'm very old, but many people went past me. Not one of the people helped me. And you're the only one who helped. At least tell me who you are. At least tell me who you are. Because at least I can say that this person helped me to leave this city, and you helped me when no one did. And go, "What is your name?" And he said, "My name is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Imagine this. When she goes, "Are you the..." And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say anything. Because if you are this person, then you are certainly the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe in you. Really. This was the case after as well. So really you can see the interaction that you and me have after we leave is such more than just giving or talking about Islam. It's really practicing Islam. This is what is practical aspect. This is how you bring people towards it. So if you don't, really they will see fire like this. Jealousy, arrogance, pride. This is as though you're burning the people really. As soon as they come in your company, it's as though they're sitting in the seat of fire really. And then what happens when two people are in fire? What happens? They scream at each other. When two people are in fire or someone in fire, they are screaming. And this is really what happens when people really do not look at the characteristics, when they do not change the characteristics like the Prophet ﷺ. So really our objective of all of these things is to really fly towards the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal by giving the preference to the command of Allah Azza wa Jal. That is our aim on this path. This should always be our goal, not really so that people say I am pious, so that people think, I've made a big change and now, think of good of me. You don't even want people to think good of you. You just want them to actually become good. Because the Prophet ﷺ is weeping and waiting for all of us. Like some of you have met in the spiritual world, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wants to come in every single one of them, all the people and the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're waiting for every single one of us. So really giving preference to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his sunnah, his way, his love. He loves you so much. How much love are you returning? So having compassion upon the creation as well. Giving compassion is what we mean about sharing Islam. Is really, this is the key thing. Sharing Islam is something that you give and you don't really want anything in return. Even to listen to someone's worry, that is good. Because some people are really worried, they don't know who to go to. Who do they go to instead? They go towards fortune tellers. They go towards, you can say, all films to just pass time. Bad imagery. But you should become the one that gives them your ear and your heart and your advice. Have compassion upon the creation. And do all of these things in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal. So when we go back to our life, we mentioned about the 3 keys. That Allah is with me, seeing me, present with me. This is what we should have in our presence afterwards as well. So these are like the gates to the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is really the journey of the mountain diagram. This is like the summary of everything, of the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the summary, really. So if you were to know the summary of all these things, then this is the key. So like you see, this is like the fruits. So once you start knowing the people, for example, they may not even be practicing. Yeah, they may not even be practicing. So your first aim is to talk about or interact with them through your character. And that's mentioning, you can say, Alme Arwad, the world of spirits is your first protocol. First protocol is the world of spirits. Then thereafter you give them thirst building exercises. And this is like these fruits here. You can see, everyone can see, these are fruits which only give you thirst building. It gives you the strength to actually want something. So these are like fruits, like talking about Day of Judgment, talking about the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are building thirst for them. And if they are then interested, then you can talk about the path towards Allah Azza wa Jal and the following the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is this mountain diagram. Like you see, one has to climb the first mountain. There's 2 mountains in our life. First mountain here is the conditions. To learn you could say, the faith properly, the aqidah. Have knowledge of how to follow and practice Islam. Repentance, asking forgiveness from the creation, from Allah Azza wa Jal, and to strive. And to do the objective which we have already mentioned. That is our aim. So if you can tell me, what is the key aspect from this mountain to the second mountain? What is the key aspect here? What is the key aspect? It's very clear. It's even on here. So I'm not telling you something you don't know. What is the key aspect? Purification is, yes, it is purification, but it's the bridge. It connects. It has to connect. This is what I said, it has to connect. Now Imam Ghazali rahmullah, he mentions in his books, and many awliya, they mention this, that there's a bridge in Akhirah, which I reminded you, the bridge of Sirat. Everyone has to pass this. There's a bridge of Sirat. Everyone will have to go under, take this road, try to cross this bridge. It's sharper than any knife, sharper than even the thinnest of hairs, thinner than any hair. Some people will go very fast, some slow, some will crawl, some will walk, and some people will fall. And if they fall, the hellfire is below them. Everyone. So they say in the day of judgment, there's a bridge which is called the bridge of Sirat, and whoever passes the bridge of Sirat, they are successful there. They are successful in Akhirah. But what is the bridge in dunya? They mentioned. What is the bridge in dunya? And they said the bridge is purification. So every single one of us, if we want to pass this dunya, we have to pass the bridge of purification to actually become successful in this dunya. You should treat the bridge of purification as the bridge of Sirat now. If you fail in purification, fail to purify, go to your old ways, to know that you'll be slowly coming down and down and down. So you should see this as a bridge, not any bridge, but as though the bridge of Sirat, the bridge is the bridge of purification. So this will ultimately, we mentioned about the body, mind, heart and soul, that's the root, and you'll attain the objective. And then afterwards we mentioned to actually convey this message by, if Allah Azza wa Jal, then they will bless you, and then afterwards conveying and bringing and giving dawah to everyone else. That is our way. This is being the root of all prophets and messengers, all awliya. So convey this message. This is really sharing. If you really love your brothers, because whatever you love, you want for others as well. That is true love.
So I think our Ustaad Abdur Raheem has beautifully put it, that this map you see before you on the screen, it is like a master map. It actually sets out the whole life of this world, how to become successful. It is as important as that. If any one of you look at this map and really study it, you will find the summary of whole Quran, the Hadith, and the teaching of the Sahabas and the Anbiyas and the Awliyas and the scholars are all summarized there. So I want to just to pause a second and just think and see how powerful this diagram is in front of you. This is the aspect on the world, in this world, from the journey of man, where if someone can focus on and learn, this is your make or break place. Everything in a summarized form. Obviously there are details, fiqh, hadith and so on, there are details. But in a summarized form, all the Anbiyas, all the Nabis and the Prophets and the Rasuls, what they've taught, especially our last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, everything here is got summarized, is explained there. So if someone were to say, could you please, you as a Muslim, how can you summarize Islam? This diagram is sufficient. Nothing else is needed. Then it's a matter of going through each aspect to explain. Now, just a quick summary within the summary. So, for example, you're out there now, not only you want to practice, but you have to share the message. This is what dawah is, to convey and share the message. So then how do you go about? So then you have to have a plan in mind, because not everyone is the same. Some people you might know as a friend, he's a practicing person. For him, maybe a different approach, or you say, oh, there's a program happening, let's go. It's about Islam or about unveiling. And he's already practicing, and he might be interested, like your brothers are here, let's go and find out. But there are people who they are not really interested in Islam, or they're non-practicing, as they say. But your aim is that whether it's your family member, or whether it's your friends, or in your works, social circle, work circle, someone who wants to give dawah to, or even non-Muslim, you have to now plan and adopt a way how to do so. Sometimes it's not always necessary to speak. As our Ustad Abdur Raheem have said, sometimes the first point of dawah, first point of how to share the beautiful message of Islam is through your own actions, to your own character, how you conduct yourself, showing your trustworthiness, being truthful, being honest, being fair. These are the universal qualities that every culture and people of all background, or even non believing background, they accept and appreciate. But very seldom you find these qualities exist. And when you do adopt these qualities, you become like a shining star amongst the people. And naturally you get drawn into it. And then when you build that relationship, this friendship, you build that trust, and you're conversing, then you can mention about, if the conversation comes simply about Almi Arwah, the world of spirits, where we come from. It's like you planting a seed then. So you don't have to go everything else, explain the whole thing. Then okay, you can end the conversation there on that day. Then later when you carry on with your work, or you're studying or working or whatever you are doing, then maybe another conversation comes about life of this world and so on. Then you can mention, by the way, me as a Muslim, we believe that we have actually purpose in life, what we come for, and what we set out to do, and what the consequences of doing a good actions or evil action. Because this world, it cannot be that people do evil actions and get away with it. Even if you apply the best justice system of this world, let's say of UK for example, if someone committed a mass murder, like we see in the news again and again in US and other places, they go around with the gun and start shooting innocent children and innocent people. 10, 13, 15, 25 children are dead. So yes, he gets justice, he gets arrested, he gets court proceedings, and then he gets sentenced. In UK, maybe lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 20, 30, 40 years. But if you really analyze it, even if the extreme example of Western world is capital punishment, even if he receives a death penalty, still that does not count for the multiple lives that he's destroyed or killed. It's only one life you're applying justice to. So really, the justice is not really found here. So then how can people, you could say then people are getting away from it. If evil people are doing evil, are getting away from it, so then why are people are doing good? It's as though there is a lose-lose situation. So in a way, it can explain that, you're not really getting much out of this world. So then it makes you think that there has to be some form of redress, some form of justice to take place. And just you can leave the conversation there. Then if he's interested, then he can say, well, in our concept, we move further. There's a sense of day of judgment. So literally what I'm going through is the journey of man. Center of judgment, where every single aspect of everyone's lives, even between the animals who have wronged each other, they will be judged, and the true reprimand or a punishment will be meted out if an injustice has been done. That's why the concept of the day of judgment comes in. That who is a master, who is a control of that day, who can show through evidence, through witnessing, that every single man, every single woman, what they have done, and they will have no other but to accept. They might not like it, but they will accept, yes, we have done wrong. Even their own bodies will speak, we believe. Will speak out against you, the hands and the eyes and the tongue. So they're like the agency to report back to us. So like this, then you build this kind of thirst in them. Then mention about obviously the greatness of paradise and how with mercy they will enter. But unfortunately the punishment and the gravity of hellfire for doing the wrong actions in this world, wrong choices that have been made using the free will. Then the person really, you cultivate this thirst inside them and say, okay, then what's the solution? And at that moment you got them. Then you can say, well, there is a solution. There is a way out. And this is what Islam teaches. And for example, then you can say, look, first of all, we have to start with ourselves, which is we ourselves have to become better. Better in conduct, better in our behavior, better in our dealings. And this is essentially what this purification teaches. Sincerity teaches how to be sincere and honest, not to be dubious, not to say one thing and do one thing, not to make promises and break promises. Tongue cheat again is the action you do, that you're honest, you're truthful. Everyone loves this kind of character. And so on and so forth. And in the mind, how to control, not to think negative, not to destroy your own life and others, and the traits and so on of the good traits and evil traits. So what they're saying is really you have to develop yourself. And what's shown in this mountain diagram, as you can see, these fruits, These are the different things and stories and ideas you can discuss and gatherings can go to flourish this thirst in the person, so that one day he said, brother, or if his sister you're interacting with, sister, I want to make that change. It makes sense, the stories you have said and the wisdom you have shared with me, and places I've visited or I've heard, it all makes sense that I have to make that change in myself. I have to take the step. Then that's where this journey then begins. They go to the first mountain and they take certain action for conditions, make preparation. This is like preparation of it. Then they go on the bridge and carry on, traversing it through purification. And they arrived at a desired outcome, which are the objectives. So this is the plan you should have. And before all that even, I would say the most important thing is to have niyyah, intention. When you're out there in field of work, in field of study, as soon as you step out the door, make the intention that, oh Allah, I'm going to go out there for sake of you, so I can earn a halal living, or to study something, so I can marvel at your beautiful creation, to ponder upon it. But also, that every opportunity I get, every action I do, I want to do in such a way that becomes a means of dawah and means of conveying and sharing the message. So at each point, you have a totally different mentality now. Not through different wisdom and different means and different tactics you want to convey. Sometimes, like I said, it's not necessary, to actually to speak and say, oh, this is Islam, this is peace. It's through your actions, but you still have plan and near the intention all the time in your mind, and then you are willing, inshallah, rewarded accordingly, inshallah, as well. So as you can see in this master plan, you go full plan in front of you. If you just simply follow this plan, then you will arrive through mercy and grace for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being humble and sincere, that you will arrive where? In this beautiful garden of bliss. Now this garden of bliss not necessarily referring to the hereafter. Yes, it's haqq and truth and it's reality, and inshallah we all pray that we end there, inshallah. Ameen. But the thing is, you can make the garden of bliss in this earth, on this earth, in terms of how you live your life amongst your family members, of your neighbors, of your work colleagues, the beautiful environment that you create within your own homes. That could be a knowledge of it. And establishing that on yourself, and then finally, you remain steadfast on this path yourself, as well as you continue your personal journey to the 5 amals and your spiritual exercises, for example, like muraqabah, dua, and all these things we've learned, and then to obviously convey to the whole mass. And that's it, that's our duty. So there's no way that you have to leave the world, you have to leave work, you have to leave family. Islam, and especially the Mashaykh and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam have taught that we are sent on this earth to live. The only thing is to live in a way that it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and according to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we came here to live, to do commerce, to do trade, to do business, to work. The only thing is not to bring those dunya in our heart. So what is dunya? We all say, oh, this is dunya, brother, this is not good. Have you ever pondered why? What is dunya? What is akhirah? So quickly, can I just ask one or two person? Brother in the middle there with the brown shirt. What do you understand by dunya?
Dunya itself, I think, means like the lower kind of but it is something that's temporary, a limited time, something that's limited compared to something that's unlimited, a test.
Take, mashallah. Anyone else want to go? Ibrahim, you're nodding your head.
So I think dunya in this context means anything that distracts you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is classified as dunya. And it could even be a religious activity. It could also be classified as dunya if it distracts you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So who have attended Ustaad Ibrahim's class downstairs? Can you put your hand up? He's been continuously every day reminding about these things. Can you someone put a hand up? So I think you should know the answer as well, because one of our Ustads has given answer. You should all know, because he covered these points on this floor and downstairs as well. That dunya is something that distracts you from your real purpose. So sometimes the religiosity and religious act could be dunya. And what is shaitanic then? This is dunya, and what is shaitanic? Brother Safraz, you're pondering, so maybe you got answer coming up. Inspired, inshallah.
What you shouldn't be doing.
Well, very good answer. Yes, that's correct. What you shouldn't be doing in the context of what's the reference point? Quran and Sunnah. What it says you should do or you shouldn't do. That's a good answer. Anyone else? Riyaz?
At the front.
At the front here.
So, Brother Ibrahim was mentioning that the dunya is a distraction and the shaitan is the temptation that tempts you to carry out these distractions. So whether it be sinning or whatever, he'll tempt you and then...
So a very good answer, like Brother Safra said, any bad thing, and you've said, yeah, any distraction, sin. So this sin or bad things, what are they? What are they making you doing? What are they making you do? Sorry? Disobey. That's correct. So you disobeying who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So essentially, the sin and disobeying, what's happening? No, it is true, that's the effect of it. What's happening? You obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is become displeased. And what's happened to shaitan? When he displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was, what happened to shaitan? Sorry? No. Yes, that's right. But when he displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happened to shaitan when he displeased Allah? Kicked out, he moved away. So essentially, shaitan act is such that anything that you do that takes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what they consider the sin is wrong. Why? Because sin essentially displeases Allah and it takes you away from Him. That's what shaitan did when he did not bow down to Adam and he disobeyed. And he took him away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's far removed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this could now, you could apply to anything. Even when you're doing charity. But charity you're doing because so that people praises you. You're a very kind and you're very compassionate and very, generous person. So that you get praise. Then that charity becomes a means to draw you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that act could be shaitanic. So the point here is that you have to understand, when we say dunya, it's not necessarily the work and the study you do and family you look after. It's something that distracts you, or worse still, takes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is akhirah then? What is goodness? Very quickly, on the reverse side of it. Haji Ramzan?
Sorry, can you just repeat?
So what is akhirah? The work for akhirah or for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Akhirah really is making sure that we are working in such a way that we have success here and we have success in the hereafter, and that is simply following the footsteps of the greatest man known, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So could you tell me what action that leads you to it?
Actions which are in accordance with our Sharia and Sunnah, commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the ways of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
In maybe half a sentence, can you summarize that? Maybe even a couple of words. Okay.
Doing everything that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, very good. So any action, now listen to this very carefully, any action that you do that takes you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is for akhirah, that is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it could be anything you're doing, serving, brushing, the job that you do, you basically brush the street, the roads on the street, or clean, or the bin man, that you clean the people's rubbish. But if that action is actually taking close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that action is an action of akhirah. So that's the thing that dunya people think, oh, that's it, I have to leave everything, go in a jungle and do Allah, or leave my family, leave all the responsibility. That's a wrong mentality. Dunya could be, you're right in the middle of it, but your mentality and you train yourself in such a way that every action you're doing is taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's very simply, if you understand, this is the action of sunnah. So that's why you have to be in the world, but you can be a person of akhirah. But sometimes you can live in the jungle, you could be a person of dunya. So I hope this makes sense to you, how important this concept is. So this is then how you do dawah, remain steadfast, inshallah. Inshallah, I would request our Ustad Abdur to continue, inshallah.
Really, like shaitan, if you think you've got knowledge, so shaitan also had knowledge. The Mashayikh say that there's 3 qualities that shaitan had. One of them is that he was an alim, right? He had knowledge. Imagine he knew all the books of Allah that has been sent, met all the prophets and messengers. So if a person thinks he has knowledge, know that shaitan has so much knowledge as well. He was also, you could say, an abid. He was a worshipper of Allah. So much so he worshipped Allah in this life, in dunya, where we are living. Allah loved his worship, that Allah raised him to the heavens. And he was worshipping Allah in the heavens. So if we think our worship is good, and shaitan also worshipped. Third quality he had is that he was an arif, meaning that he was a knower of Allah as well. He was a knower of Allah. So much so in the heavens, the angels used to ask him, tell us about Allah, tell us more. Such gatherings he used to have. He was a knower of Allah. So the 3 qualities that the Mashayikh say that he had, that he was an alim. So if a person thinks he has knowledge, know that shaitan has more knowledge than you. He was an abid, he was a worshipper, so all the worship he did. He was an arif, 3 things he had. But the Mashayikh said one thing he did not have is that he wasn't an ashik. He wasn't an ashik of Allah. And this is why the failure came. So the whole concept of this, we go back to loyalty, we go back to love. If you love Allah Azawajal, then you will become an ashik. So the whole point of the purification, you can say, as such of what we're saying, is that the prophetic path is based on love. Is our tongue in the love of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Is our eyes in the love of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Allah Azawajal? Is our body in the love? If it hasn't fallen in love, then a person should make it and train it to fall in love with Allah and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is what the bridge is mentioned here, is really the footsteps of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So it's all based on love and loyalty. Okay, we're just moving on now. This is the roadmap, you can say. This is like the whole concept of the map, that where we should be going, where we are in this aspect of this map, and where our objective lies. So just number 4 now, 4th aspect that we want you to take back is the spiritual amals that you should be doing. The spiritual amals we should be doing is to take back this. So everything that you've learned, the lataifs, the muraqabah that you've learned. So there's 3 main muraqabahs that you've learned. Is one muraqabah is muraqabah miraj, strengthening one's faith. If you want to strengthen your faith, boost your iman, then do muraqabah miraj. So every single one day at a time you should do. So one day you do muraqabah miraj, the next day you do maybe muraqabah dua, and another day you do muraqabah Muhammadiyah, which if a person is yearning to see the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then he should do this muraqabah. So this can be done like on a Friday, for example, muraqabah Muhammadiyah. So this takes time to readjust. So it roughly takes about 3 to 5 months before a person gets used to the transition. But afterwards, inshallah, every day he's doing something different and building the concept. But at the same time, keeping in mind the 5 amals that one is doing and your personal journey, that whatever zikr you've been given already.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, practice makes you perfect. So if you, mashallah, with sincerity, practice it regularly, these 3-4 muraqabahs mentioned every day, because what we do is before each muraqabah we do practice al-lataif. So if you be really steadfast and do it, then within 3 to 5 months you could be in such a position that you get a smooth transition whereby you find as though you don't even need your al-lataif practices anymore, that you could just stand there in prayer or just before sat down, you've already transferred. You know, if you're really sincere, do it well, you find that even the lataif, do it for a half a minute each, or even if you sometimes don't do, you've already transferred. And that's a sign that, mashallah, not only you have opening, now you're progressing. If that's the case, inshallah, in the near future, then you will be invited, you can come to the high level of retreat, where you then learn and you'll be taught at a high level of how to attain the haqqul yaqeen as well, the reality of the belief and the conviction. So it doesn't end here. This retreat that we've actually participated in, really, in reality, is actually only a preparation level, or in the normal common folk baby level, you could say. There are many, many levels to come, that you can expand your horizon and experience. Can you imagine after today's or this retreat, the kind of the blessings that we received? Yes. Okay. So, even at the baby level, quote unquote, look at the feelings you have now, the experience you got, you want to make a change. So imagine if you learn to progress along, put some effort in there, rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and move to higher levels, then what kind of mentality you will have, what kind of conviction will you have? The whole life will be such that, you'll be see the akhirah in front of you all the time. But also, do not worry if after 4 or 5 months, a year even, that you think I'm still struggling. We're also going to have this level of retreats as well, where you can also come and attend and then really boost yourself and refresh yourself. So it'll be like things happening, catering for people of all the different levels and all the needs as well. And that's the beauty of it, inshallah. Yeah.
So the fifth thing that we want you to take back as well is that, which you yourself just mentioned, the sixth key that we want you to take back is that really we have different WhatsApp group and help groups, you can say. It's like having direct access to teachers and ustads who specialize in the spiritual aspect. So if a person, for example, here one is that a person can be added to the Ibris Ascension group, which you have qualified teachers on there to, if you have going through hardship in doing your connection or having difficulty in connecting, or any difficulties that you have through the process when you return spiritually, or you have something that you want to mention on there, certain vision you want to mention which you're confused or don't understand what it means as such, then inshallah you can be added in this group, and inshallah the ustads can answer any questions that you have. So the teacher is also in this group as well. So this is one aspect as well. And we also have, if related to fiqh or aqidah, we have a separate group for that as well, that we can share, Q&A, Al-Ibri's Q&A group. You can be added to that. Just speak to one of the brothers here and they can
specifically, sorry if I may mention, Haji Gulfam, brother Gulfam, inshallah, if you register your phone numbers with him, and then you can be added to this Ibri's Ascension UK group, where specifically regarding the spiritual experiences, difficulties, you can share. You can also not only share, we can also learn from other people's experiences and which are answered as well, inshallah.
Because sometimes we might be going through the same struggles and same difficulties, and someone else posts it, and you see the advice, then you can apply it to yourself as well. So alhamdulillah, it's a very good supported group. Sometimes you might want even personal contact with an ustad. You can have that request as well. If an ustad can speak to me personally, and then they can speak to you directly on the phone as well, or meet if you live locally. The other aspect is to attend weekly gatherings of majalis in your locality. So that means that every week you should be attending a gathering in your locality, be it Bolton or in London, wherever we are in the country. If we haven't got one, then we should start having one every week, even if it means tuning in to the Monday gatherings and starting off in that sense, wherever we are, and then slowly building on that and having a weekly gathering. Because why? Because it's good to meet like-minded people who have the same objective of reaching Allah Azza wa Jal. So you have the motivation, you can speak about your struggles. The more contact you are with good people, the less contact you're with shaitan and nafs and desire. It's talking about good company, having good relationship and good company with people, and attending weekly majalises. Another thing is to sit for individually one day khalwa. So every single one of us, like I said, this is paying back. It's time to pay back the blessings that we receive. So one day a month, we should try and organize individually that you come to the mosque, in here preferably where the teacher is, one day a month, or locality wise, if you can't come, then one day a month you should do the khalwa for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Spend a bit time with Allah Azza wa Jal. Like we spent 10 days here, you could see the boost that we had. What happens if every month we refresh this? And every day, every month is as though we're in khalwa. So this is like a great blessing, and it will re-energize you when you go back into the spirit, into the world again. So it's like the energy building up, and then you go back and actually practice these things. And the 8th thing I want to mention, which is the last thing, is that also there's opportunity to go on dawah trips with the teacher as well. So you should try and attend these as well, because there's so much blessings. So example, the teacher goes twice a year, they go to Umrah, twice a year they go to Morocco, and they go to other trips like America and other countries. So when you're on the WhatsApp group, you get these messages. So you should try and become free and attend one of these, you can say, international dawah trips, and you see the benefit. People say that really I don't know the Sheikh that much. Well, you've seen his interaction. Now see his interaction with others when he's doing dawah to the world. You see how they speak to people. You should see how they converse with people. So much benefit in there as well. So you should try to make yourself available to go on one of these trips. It could be with yourself, could be with your family if it's open to everyone, and you should keep in contact. So the messages do come through the WhatsApp group if there's any opportunity for these trips abroad, and then you just give your name and be available. Sometimes it's selected process, sometimes it's open to everyone, inshallah.
So this gathering, sometimes obviously local gathering takes place between a locality where the teacher himself leading these local Monday weekly gatherings, then you should try your best to attend to them at least once a week, because that will also help to reconnect, re-energize, refresh the mission and the purpose that you have, and helps you keep you connected as well. So very important, and we recommend that you do attend. And dawah here simply means is to convey the message, to share the message. Our Hazrat Sheikh is continuously, year after year, maybe 8-9 months of the year, they're out internationally conveying the dawah. And when they're in UK, they're in the UK going all over. So even if you cannot go internationally due to many reasons, financial reasons, then at least try also participate in the UK dawah and convey the message tour as well, inshallah. So there are many opportunities to get involved. If you cannot do it by yourself, because you think I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have the skills, I don't have the orating or the speaking qualities, then inshallah you can join the fellow brothers, the experienced brothers who are doing with our teacher, Shaykh Hazrat Ahmed Dabbagh, and then that way not only get to learn the teacher and the brothers are around you, but also you learn the skills and the tools with them, by being with them in the trips, so that one day you can also become one of them, like Muballigh, go out there and convey the message as well, inshallah.
So this is just to go through the summary of everything that we spoke about. So number one is that you've firstly found something. Now it's time to actually pay back everything that you've got. So really, you found a teacher now. Now you should keep in contact with them. Keep in contact meaning that you come to his gatherings whenever there it is. It's like a guide towards really success. So they are leading you to the Prophet ﷺ. That's number one. You should know this in your mind, that this is my guide, and they will lead us to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The second one is the 5 amals. The 5 amals that we have mentioned is that we mentioned here. You should follow this to the utmost when you return. This is like the foundation of it. So you got the permission now to do these amals, so you become more benefit now. So now your job is to do these 5 amals, the muraqabah, the zikr, the sheets, as it's mentioned, you should do these. Sincerity, tongue, and salah. Then you should share the message, as is mentioned. Sharing the message to the entire world, to your locality, knowing how to do this, whatever you've learned through the journey of man. And the 4th aspect is to be steadfast. Steadfast on all the muraqabahs that you've learned, the 3-4 muraqabahs that you've learned. Is to be steadfast. Go back every day. Have each day that you do one of the muraqabahs. Okay? Be steadfast on that. And after this session, we'll do all of these muraqabahs, and then we'll give you chance to give your feedback as well, inshallah. And as mentioned, be in the group, the Ascension group. Have contact. And also attend the majalises that is in your locality, so you have that contact with everyone. 1 day khalwa we should do, so to energize ourselves and go back every month, and try to attend all the dawah trips, inshallah. So alhamdulillah, we've gone through the aspects that you should take back with you. This is like the menu. This is like the food that we should take back when we return home, inshallah. There's a question we have over there. If there's any question that everyone wants to ask.
Yes, you can do. Especially, for example, like on a Friday after Jummah, you go and visit the loved one in the graveyard in Qabristan. Then yes, you can do muraqabah dua, inshallah. And especially like yourself, you're lucky that our teacher often offers their Friday Jummah prayer here, and they often go to graveyard. And then the opportunity with the teacher, you're doing the muraqabah barzakh as well. So yes, inshallah. Well, again, note of caution is, if you think you're weak at heart, then maybe you can avoid that, because you don't want to like scare yourself to the point where where you feel scared to do any of these amals. But if you think fine, I want to learn, because it's a hadith that we should actually go there, give our salam to the deceased there who are residing there, but also ponder upon our own death, what's happening. And this is just a spiritual opening, spiritual experience of the pondering that you're doing, according to the hadith. So there's nothing new, nothing new concept that's been brought in. It's just tools that we've been taught how to connect more in a better way and get lessons from it. And if it's possibly spiritual as well, open up, then even better. Inshallah.
Is there any more questions? I'll just wait for the mic.
Do you know when you're doing the muraqabah, for example, can that count towards your 2 zikr amal? So you know what here we've been doing for 5 minutes, the Allah, and the individual, where you just have to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for.
The muraqabah is obviously is more with your silently you're practicing and spiritually you're connecting. So that has its own purpose of increasing your iman, like And the dhikr that you mentioned about Allah, the 5 amals, that has a separate function in terms of the purification and grounding yourself in the sunnah living. So yeah, inshallah, you keep them separate. That's why he said these 4 muraqabahs, 4 or 5 muraqabahs that you've been taught so far, you can share them between different days. So you don't have to do everything in one day and the next day nothing because you've done too much. So share out throughout the week.
I think, am I right in saying that with the 5 amals, the most important thing is to make sure that they're scheduled in your daily activities? So do you have any advice on the best way to do so? And maybe would it be a good idea for maybe have a 10-minute session later at some point where we can all have our own individual plan, and then you can check it. So make sure that it's going to get done, inshallah.
The best plan is when you make your own plan. And for some people, making this timetable is actually more headache, because they cannot follow timetable as well. So you're all an individual. You know how you function well because you're all successful. You know, you're all qualified in your field or whatever work you're doing. So you know how to do this. Best thing to do is do it organically. So one advice I would say for my personal thing is that look at all your daily activities and prioritize which is the primary activity you must do, which are secondary, which are optional. If you just plan the priority ones that you must do, like you have to wake up at 8 because you have to go to train station by 9 and start work at 9:30. Yeah, for example. Then obviously you work around that, you wake up at 8 after Fajr, of course. So that you can't compromise. Yeah. So likewise, you fix certain things and you stick to it. Then other aspect, for example, you can adjust. So in there, if you fix, for example, I'm going to do my amal, for example, because I'm going to wake up Fajr, and now it's, for example, at 4 o'clock or 4:30, I'm going to spend half an hour every day after Fajr. That's my fixed time. Then rest and the other aspect, for example. So if you do it like this, then sometimes the timetable itself, some people, they're perfect. They're very methodological, they can follow. Some people, it becomes a burden. And what happens, because they have like a knock-on effect, when they miss one, they start to miss the second, then third, and they say, oh, I'm going to scrap this. It doesn't work for me. Yeah? Sidi? Yeah? So best thing to do, you sit down, you map out, maybe make a list. What are the things that I cannot avoid? Hook or crook? Going to work, for example, going to college if you're studying, doing some kind of other chores, shopping, for example. Shopping could be adjusted. It doesn't have to be every day at 1 o'clock, for example. Yeah? So you make a plan and stick to it. Some people are very visual. They like to put it on the piece of paper and all colorful, put it on the fridge with fridge magnet. It works best for them. Go ahead. For some people, they say it's too much of a clutter. I don't want the sight of looking at this. It makes me headache. It gives me headache. So for me to tell you, and then you go take a bigger headache, then it's not going to work. Best thing to do is you know best how you're functioning or how you function. Because you've been doing it for the last 20, 30, 40 or 50 years. So it's not something I'm telling you to reinvent anything. It's something that you have to put into your system. That's what you have to do, inshallah. That's just my personal experience I'm mentioning, inshallah.
Also, if, for example, a person, didn't get the full, training on this, for example, they didn't partake and they've come here 1 day, 2 days, and then they went. We also do a beginner's course again like this. In the retreats, we'll have another one as well. So you'll be told. So you should try and partake in that one, and so it gives you that energy again to actually understand. So it's not that's it. We've given you it now. We're never gonna, do any of this course again. There will be some, inshallah, and you can partake in it. And in regards to the 1 day khalwa as well, sometimes if you have a group of you that all do it together, sometimes that's quite easy to do. For example, rather than doing it on your own and you don't know whether to do it on my own because I'm going to be a bit lone or anything, then get 1 or 2 people together and gives you that motivation to do once a month together. As such, obviously you do your own individual amals as such, maybe, but encourage each other, look out for each other, and that's the best thing. Yes, you're thinking about yourself, but think about your brother that hasn't come to the mosque for many times.
Gee, I know we might have 1 or 2 other questions, but I'm conscious of the time as well. We've taken quite a long time, I believe. We're going to do a practice session. So, inshallah, if you approach the Ustads individually, if you have any questions regarding this, what we said, then I'm sure, inshallah, they'll also answer you. So, with this note, if I ask our State Secretary to... give him about 20 minutes break. No, because we want to get ready, because we're going to practice refreshed as well.
Okay, inshallah, we're going to have a 20-minute break. So if you can, I tell you what, make it easy. Come back 4:30.